No. No, I just turned it off. No, I just turned it on. Wait, it's red when it's on. Okay, that's kind of weird. Good morning, everybody. My name is Miley Gray. I'm the director of Drive Smart Colorado, and I am the chair of this coalition. For better or worse, you all can decide. I just want to remind everybody that when you do speak, please push this little funny picture here with the little sound coming out of the mouth, and if it's red, it's on, and if it's not, it's off. And so when you speak, please talk into the microphone. Do we have 6 voting members here? Yeah. So, but if we don't have anything to vote on, then we can still, we can have a meeting. So, okay, good. Well, I know that it says, what we're supposed to do here, but I would have done it anyway. So why don't we go around the room, if you would please, and give us an introduction, who you are and what agency you work with.
Jolene Hausman, Executive Director at the Fountain Valley Senior Center.
If everybody could remember to make sure, Jessica's going to have to transcribe this off of the tape, so make sure you turn your mics on. That's the bottom line. And turn them off when you're done.
So Melissa Martz, and I'm a relatively new employee going into my 2nd month with the Area Agency on Aging, working with Joe, and wanted to come in here and participate in your meeting today.
Melissa is our new program development person, and she is looking at all the new enhancing the programs we have, and looking at any new programs that might be coming down the pike.
David Prudhomme, Special Kids, Special Families.
Jeremy Trujillo, Special Kids, Special Families.
Joe Urban, Area Agency on Aging, PPACG.
Brian Champion, Mountain Metropolitan Transit.
Jacob Matson, Mountain Metro Transit.
Good morning, Dick Hyde with Community Intersections.
And I am Marky Miller, the Interim Director for Community Intersections. I'm taking Terry Holmes' place.
Is Terry officially retired yet?
Yes, March 8th, she officially retired.
Okay, well, so moving right along, I would like to see if anybody has any additions or changes that they'd like to see to the agenda, or is it okay the way that it stands?
Motion to approve.
Jolene Hausman, I second.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for saying your name. Okay. She'll recognize you.
Okay. Poor girl's off chasing her dogs. All right, good. So do we have anybody who would like to say anything, has any comments that are not on the agenda? I see that we don't. Oh, hello. Sorry. No worries. That we don't really have any guests back there.
I do have a quick comment that's Jolene Hausman, that's relative to this committee. So the Fountain Valley Senior Center is partnering with the City of Fountain and Whitefield School District to build a regional recreation center, and we had a Q&A session where the public was invited, and over 2/3 of the people at the meeting were my seniors. And one of the comments, never said at any other government meeting, I think, was, we feel the seniors are overrepresented at this meeting. So we provided transportation. Any senior that wanted to go, we transported them for free to take them to the meeting.
Were you happy with the results of that meeting?
Absolutely. I want them to be overrepresented everywhere I take them.
Was the reception
good?
good?
Yeah. The community reception is really good. Really, the only negative feedback is the people that live in the subdivision where it's proposed to be built, just because there's not finished roads at this time. And I think if they look at it from the bigger picture, if the rec center goes there, that means their subdivision roads are the first on the city's agenda and not the last. So it actually benefits that subdivision and their property values greatly. So.
Where is that subdivision?
Clear Creek subdivision is off of Mesa Ridge Parkway and Snuffles, so right by that Safeway.
Yep.
And the reason that location was picked is it's in the city of Fountain, but it's in Widefield School District 3. And Widefield School District 3, if the mill levy passes, will donate the land to the project. And so that will take over $5 million off the top of the cost.
The Safeway at Mesa Ridge Parkway is not in the Fountain School District, even though Mesa Ridge High School is right down the street?
It's in Widefield School
It
District.
is?
3, and Mesa Ridge is Widefield School District.
Oh, it
3.
is?
Yeah.
Oh,
Then
yes, of
2
course it
blocks,
is. I know that.
Yeah, 2 blocks over is
Is
District 8.
8 with Fountain Fort Carson. Yeah, okay, I know that. Oh, man, I didn't. Oh, hi, we have someone who's late to the meeting. Would you like to please introduce yourself, speak into the microphone?
Sure.
Excuse me, Ted Schweitzer with the City of Cripple Creek, also Teller County Mobility Manager.
Thanks, Ted. We have, Jessica's off chasing her dogs, so we're trying to, she's recording this meeting, and we're trying to be good for her minute taking.
Thanks for coming, Ted. We appreciate that.
Does anybody else have anything to report on that is not on the agenda?
I do. I'm not sure if I should report this under information sharing.
Oh, go for it.
So just a couple things. Mountain Metro Transit is installing LED solar lighting at 43 bus stops and counting. So that's how many have been installed.
Will that be like, how's that going to be?
It's the pole mounted security lighting. So where the sign that has the stop identification and the schedule, it's mounted on top, and they've selected locations by asking riders where they feel the priority should go to as identifying stops that need lighting. There's about 950 total bus stops, so it's going to be an ongoing campaign to increase the number of stops that have lighting. We have approximately 165 shelters. Most of those are lit, and there's 15 of those that will get a security lighting upgrade. And then on March 20th, CDOT, Denver Regional Council of Governments, and Metro Transit launched the I-25 My Way campaign. And that's a campaign to try to reduce the amount of single occupant vehicles in the I-25 gap construction zone. It's 18 miles between Monument and Castle Rock. And some of the things that they're campaigning is to get people to ride Bustang, which I think from the Springs to the Denver Tech Center is about $9 one way. Van pools, and Mountain Metro has our Metro Rides program, which coordinates van pools, car pools, school pools, and as an incentive to get people to establish new van pools, they're offering, or we're offering, a $200 discount on the first month's fees. And then Denver is also a provider of van pools through the Way to Go program. So additional information you can find at i25myway.org, and then they have Twitter updates at Colorado DOT. So, thank you.
I might add that, I'm trying to think of the woman's name that will be here at the next PPACG board meeting to present on that project. So she's going to do kind of a little 10, 15-minute spiel. She's from CDOT. And I believe it'll be the second Wednesday in April, whatever that ends up being.
Thank you. And Brian, I saw that the Gazette, I mean, you had a really nice write-up.
Yeah,
I thought.
that's some nice,
So, at
some
least-
nice publicity.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it
good.
is, it's largely rider-directed of where those security lighting should be. So they're continuing to take suggestions for next sites.
So just a question that I don't know. Do buses, are they required to stop at every bus stop even for a second, even if they don't see anybody there?
No. So if no one is getting off, no one's pulled the cord to indicate someone wants to alight at a stop, and the driver slows but sees no passengers at that stop, unless it's a time stop, which means the schedule says the bus will arrive there at a specific time, no, it doesn't stop.
Okay. I remember one time at a Drive Smart meeting, a gentleman came and he had this idea, and I don't remember if he was a bus driver or I can't remember his name, but he had this idea of like providing, or he wanted people to have flashlights so that they could, in the dark, because I mean it's dark a lot.
Yes.
That they could somehow alert buses so that they would see them more often.
Yeah, there's different mechanisms for that. Some use flags. Some have a button that you can push that sends out a kind of a dim strobe so the driver sees it in the distance, but that means the passenger has to see the bus coming too. But with the security lighting or the LED lighting, it should take care of that.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, yeah.
I got one real quick thing, Miley, because I don't think it fits in
No, go.
anywhere else in the agenda. Julie and I were just talking about, as many of you know, there are a lot of vacancies on this particular committee. So Jessica put together a comprehensive list of everybody who's eligible to be on the MCC. The providers, fortunately, are very well represented, actually. We've almost filled the slate. I think there's only supposed to be 10 at-large provider slots. The municipalities and the counties, however, are grossly underrepresented. Fountain, Sharon being the only one that's represented currently. So I know that the elected officials have a challenge sometimes when you say, hey, please fill this slot. Well, that gives them yet one more thing to do on top of the great pile that they already have. So if you know somebody in your area that would be a good representative, you might contact the appropriate person, be it Colorado Springs City Council, Fountain Park, Teller, wherever, and suggest that those slots get filled, and suggest a person's name. If you can give them a name and say this person's interested, it really goes a long ways towards getting that area represented. And kind of on that same topic, one of the goals of the PPACG long-range plan, strategic plan, was to regionalize this a lot, and that's why I'm really glad to see Ted here, because we're trying to bring more of a regional collaboration approach to how we look at things at the PPACG, which is El Paso, Park, and Teller counties. So the more we can do to get everybody involved in that picture, the better off we are. And maybe Ted can tell us a little bit about what he's doing with the LCC up the pass when we get around to you. So I'm going to pass this around just for you to look at. You don't have to do a thing with it other than just say, hey, I might know somebody that might be able to fill one of those slots.
And so just to clarify, that person has to be a government employee?
No.
No.
Matter of fact, most of them will not be.
Okay, so it's
Sometimes they will
They
be.
just have to be, it could be a citizen, but that is appointed by a commissioner or council member.
They need to have an appointment by an official, so it would be either a city council person, a county commissioner, mayor,
Okay.
anybody that fits into an official capacity within that municipality or county.
Director of Parks?
I don't
Probably
know. I didn't
not.
anticipate this quiz.
I'm going to quiz you. Well, because I would like to see, it's a long way for people to drive, but I would love to see some of these chairs filled.
And I think that's why it's important that Ted kind of explain a little bit about what they're doing up the pass, because they've got a very active LCC, which stands for Local Coordinating Committee. Is that correct? Which is the same thing that we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't want to be duplicitous in what we do, but by the same token, we do want to have representation. So in particular, Monument, Eastern El Paso County, Colorado Springs area, we need full representation from those folks.
Yeah, and we can partner possibly. So, well, Ted, would you like to give your elevator speech now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, thank you.
As far as with the LCC or the RCC, what we're doing up there is we've done a lot of outreach. Ted Borden with the Aspen Mine Center actually started it about 4 years ago, and it grew. And what we try to do is get as many on the board, transit and non-transit, to tap from their resources. So right now we have about just short of 70 people, and everybody from doctors to transit folks to healthcare. It's all over the board. They don't always all attend. We usually have anywhere from 10 to 20, but it just kind of rotates through. Brian comes up. So we try. Invita comes up. Different folks come up. So what we've done since we've started it is we've created a website. It's like a one-stop shop for all the transit within the region, and we also have links that link to Mountain Metro, that link to Invita, Bustang, Silver Key, so on and so forth.
Can you tell me what the website is?
It's teletransit.org,
Dot.
I think. We're still in the phases of development on it. So any information that anybody would like to have on this website, we'd encourage it. Send it to me, and I'll pass it to our marketing director. He's the one that's spearheading that. We've revised our logo a little bit up there to encompass any of the transit in the region, to include Teller, as well as Cripple Creek Care Center. Anybody that has anything to do with transit, we try to grab them in on that. We're working on a project right now to put the old trolley back in Bennett Avenue. We have Cindy with Region 8. She's this system administrator for this region. She's coming up April 1st with her staff. Pardon? FTA, Region 8. CDOT's going to come up, so we have an effort to put the old trolley back in up and down Bennett Avenue, and that's going to take a few bucks to do that. So we're working on that project. We've applied for a transit hub, one-stop shop there too, where Ramblin pulls in, Invita pulls in, Mountain Metro, if they ever get up that way, where they pull into one place. It's a nice, clean transfer station, similar to kind of like Pueblo has. It'll also encompass rail, though, if we do get the trolley going there. So that project's underway. We're doing a feasibility study with 5304. That should be coming out, by the way, in June from CDOT. Anybody that wants to apply for that, to see exactly what the viability of putting that project back in. So there's just a lot of little things going on. We try to stay engaged. We've tried to do outreach to all any kind of medical facilities, any kind of extended care facilities, Forest Ridge, anybody like that. I know Teller Senior Coalition, I know they're not here today. Something came up. But they've adjusted their routes to include a lot of those stops, and then we connect with them on Wednesdays. Let's see what else. There's going to be a passenger service and safety class this Thursday at the Heritage Center if anybody wants to send anybody up there. It's free of charge. That's about it. That's my soapbox.
You're busy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Anybody have any questions for Ted?
I have a comment. I have attended a couple of meetings, and it seems like a pretty dynamic and excited group that is focused on providing better transportation in Teller County. You know, it seems like a pretty dynamic and interested group of folks, and I think that has a lot to do with your excitement and involvement in transportation up there.
Thank you.
Can you tell me when you meet?
Third Wednesday of the month. Anybody that wants to be part of that group, you're more than welcome.
And what time and where?
That one, sorry. Don't miss it.
Third Wednesday of the month.
Wednesday, yep, at the library. We usually do it at the Woodland Park Library downstairs.
And what time?
10 a.m.
Great. I'd like to come up and see what you have going on.
Awesome. We'd like to have you.
Good. And anybody else? Come on.
Ted, can I
Brian?
ask a question? The medical folks that you have involved, is your vision to try to schedule medical appointments around available transportation?
Our vision with the medical folks is to provide any assistance that they may need. So if it's me tying in, dropping in at the old UC Health, picking somebody up, taking them to connect with TSC, to connect with, you guys, or whatever the requirement is, if we, stop and then divide at the clinic, moving people around, altering our route coming down out of Cripple Creek instead of going down 67, going down Teller One. Whatever the requirement is, we're there to try to meet it within the scope of our grant.
And is it a CDOT grant?
Yeah, we received 5311 funding.
5311.
Yeah, since we started up there, we're right at 1.8 million, and we receive about 180 in admin and operating, and then the buses and the trolley and different things that we've gotten along the way as well.
That's great. We have a lot of complaints about CDOT, but really, we also really like them in many ways. So.
There's
good.
one, by the way, CDOT's doing a town hall in Pueblo, I want to say the 9th. Craig, or Brian, did you get any email on that? Yeah, it's for this. It's for the people that don't apply directly to the FTA, like Mountain Metro does. But if you apply to CDOT, they want to see you at one of their town halls. And I believe if you need the email on that, let me know. I can forward that to you, whoever.
Would you forward it anyway? Because then we can have Jessica send it out to everybody. That would be awesome. Thank you. Because all of this is really, really important. If you are looking to work with CDOT at all or have in the past, these sort of opportunities are really valuable.
And I know some of these things come up last minute, so always feel free to send anything you get to Jess Bechtel, and she's happy to just batch it out, even if it's not going out with a normal publication, normal meeting notice. She'll just send it out special.
That's great. Thank you. Okay. Puebla. Okay. So, thank you. Anybody else? Something that's not on the gone. Okay. Moving on. Bylaws review. So, what I would like to do is, first of all, does everybody have a copy of the bylaws? They were last amended April 10th, 2013. So we have a few copies here, and if anybody is interested, I'd like to, maybe after this meeting or right now, whatever, see if we might be able to just pull a few people together who wouldn't mind going over these bylaws to make sure that the goals and ideals and mission of this coalition work, and it's where we should be going, it's what we should be doing, it's what we are doing, it's what we haven't done in years, whatever we might like to see on it. So would anybody like to volunteer with me to take a look at the bylaws and make some suggestions to the PPACG board?
I would.
Brian? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, wait.
I would anticipate that this is a limited
Yes.
obligation. I mean, you're probably talking about one meeting.
One meeting.
And sitting down and running through it. And then I would also add that we have the benefit, we at the PPACG have the benefit of having John Leosatos and Andy Gunning come in with experience from other areas. So John had very, very specific experience with an LCC down in Tucson. So what we did yesterday was we kind of went through this list of A through M of responsibilities for this group. Whoever created this originally was very, very ambitious. Let me put it that way.
Really, really ambitious.
And so John and I and Andy went through this yesterday and kind of looked at what would really be realistic for an MCC to do. So I'm more than happy to give this list to that group.
Yeah, please do.
And then
I already made some stars myself.
Good.
I know just enough to be dangerous.
We crossed off probably well over half of the responsibilities, because some of them fall with MMT.
Maybe there'd be
already.
something that we might consider to be added.
2?
Page 2, right? The very next
Yes,
page,
second
A
page,
through M or whatever.
And I will volunteer. Jolene, I already have you.
Oh, we have Jolene and Brian volunteering with Miley on the committee. You want to just set a meeting right after this meeting?
For a future date, you
Yeah.
want to meet? Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll just visit for a minute. Thank you. Okay, that's great, because, for example, my nonprofit hasn't been updated since 1992, when, like it says in it, mail, with a stamp, any ideas by whatever. And I'm going, is that a requirement in bylaws? I don't know, but I don't think so, so I need to sort of work on that myself. 1992 was a really long time ago. Okay, so now, I'd like to move on if there's no more discussion on the bylaw chit-chat. Oh, Ryan?
I do. So what is the vision? So we're going to review the responsibilities.
Yeah.
Is the vision to then make recommendations to this committee, which we'll vote on?
You know, that's a great question. I would be happy to outline the process. The MCC is a committee of the PPACG board. It's the same as the TAC, the RAC, the CAC, the whole hairball list. So what would happen with the process would be that the committee would review those bylaws, make any suggestions regarding revisions. I think ideally you'd want most of those committees want to review their bylaws about every 3 years, and it's been 6 for this one.
Better than 1992.
So you want to, the group would review that, make any suggestions, recommended revisions, would come to this group for approval, and then it would go to the PPACG board for approval on their end. So that's kind of the process.
So my guess is we could probably have our suggestions by the next meeting. I mean, I don't think this is rocket science here. By the next meeting, and then we'd give those to you, and then you would at the following meeting. So really in April, May.
Right. It would be, we would make the April meeting, the MCC, we would make
Right.
the May meeting of the PPACG. PPACG always meets the second Wednesday of each month, so we'd have plenty of time to get it into the packet and have it at the next PPACG
They
meeting.
don't become effective to the board.
They are not effective until the PPACG board
Right.
approves.
Right.
Yeah, this committee is an official committee of the
Yes.
board.
Any other questions on that? Good, thank you, I appreciate you guys helping. All right, so now, at one point, a long time ago, we used to have organizations give a brief presentation, an overview, or whatever, or on really anything that you'd want to do here at this meeting. And I'd like to suggest that that's a valuable part of this meeting so that we all really understand what's going on in your group, and it gives you a chance to share. And I'd also like to suggest, remember, I'm new, so feel free to tell me that I can't do this or I'm wrong. I don't mind. If there's any other person that you feel would bring a valuable report to this group, who can then, take it back to their people or whatever, that's an option too.
I know in the past we've had folks from CDOT come in. We've had folks from outside organizations. I know there was a ride-sharing entity, I think, did a presentation one time. So it doesn't necessarily, I think, I have a calendar here for the rest of this year. So if you'd like a slot to talk about your organization, put your name in there. But there's no reason, number one, that we can't have two organizations present on the same meeting. But I think that was one of the things that, when I talked to folks before, they thought was one of the most valuable things was learning about what the other providers are doing as well as what's going on statewide. And sometimes we could certainly integrate some small training, some in-services in there too if we wanted to. So I'm going to pass this around. If anybody wants to get their name in one of these slots, go for it.
Yeah, please.
Jolene Hausman, PPACG just awarded us a grant to send my assistant director to the American Association on Aging Conference, and she'll be sitting in transportation seminars, and then I'm doing the ASA Leadership Institute. So I'd say if you believe it'd be relevant to this group, we'd be happy to give a short presentation at the May meeting, because it's in April. Yeah, so she can bring back and share that information, especially since this is the funding source for it.
So can you give me a little idea on what this is, where it is, what's this conference about, what's the deal?
It's in New Orleans. Yes. Not quite Ecuador, but I'm super excited.
In April?
In April 13th through the 19th.
Oh, I'll be there just after that.
Oh, and then Diana's focus at the conference will be transportation. My focus is the Leadership Institute, because one of my goals as the Fountain Valley Executive Director is to start going to Capitol Hill and DC on behalf of our seniors as well. So I'm taking that initiative through this institute. And so we'll bring back a lot of information at the May meeting from that.
I'm going to sign up. Oh.
NCOA is probably the lead organization for senior issues, just broad-based senior issues in the country. National Council on Aging.
I left the mace lock. Thank you. Thank you, and I know that there are a lot of people who are not here, so we will also send this around. We'll take care, we're just going to keep going until this is filled up.
You know what Jessica can do probably is fill in the slots that we get today and then send that spreadsheet out
Okay.
to everybody to have them pick.
Good. Thank you. And if anybody has any field trips we can participate in, that's really fun, too. I remember participating last year or 2 years ago in the Ride the Bus, you know, I think, was that with the Independent Center? Or, that was really awesome, so, and very educational. So.
You know, some of the committees, I know the Regional Advisory Council of the RAC has meetings in remote locations all over our service area once a year. So we go to Fountain next month. We've been to Monument. We've been to Cripple Creek. We've been to Woodland Park Divide, Fair Play, Bailey. So if you have ideas about that, I think that's a great idea to get out on the road every once in a while.
Cripple Creek.
Fountain Valley Senior Center will also offer that if we do a remote location, if people want to meet at our center, we can take one of our buses, so we'll do group transportation.
Fun. Okay. Great. Okay, so this is actually an opportunity to go around the room, talk about any opportunities, training, information sharing, coordination opportunities that we might have, kind of our opportunity to network right now. So, Ted, do you have anything else to add to your
I do, and I don't know how well it's going to be received, but.
No, go. We're not a judging.
I've been coming down here for, Joe, how long, 4 years, 5 years? And we've reshuffled the deck 4 or 5 years. It just seems like it's constant reorganization, redo the bylaws. This is just me. I think you guys need to refocus on what you guys are really doing here and why we're here. As far as like coordination with other agencies, setting up meeting after meeting to review, that's important. Don't get me wrong, it is important. Mm-hmm. But I think if we refocus on what the reason why we're really here, for coordination with other agencies, to move elderly, just why are we here? Because I kind of think we're spinning our wheels here, you guys. I really do. This is the same meeting that it was 4 years ago. I think that there's a lot of talent in the room, and I think if we refocus a little bit, we could probably move this forward a little bit more. Not that it's in a bad place. I just want to make a comment. I don't know if everybody's kind of happy where they're at with the position of this at this point. You know, it's just something that I've observed over 4 years. So
Appreciate your comment, for sure.
Sorry.
Don't apologize for it, because you know, that's a good point. So do you have, right off the top, any suggestions or thoughts on what?
I do.
Okay.
I do. So if you go into the kind of like the reasons or the focus for why you're here, don't overdo it. Like you said, the bylaws are so far in depth.
Well, that's right. However, this is an opportunity to really maybe
Yep.
make some new suggestions.
So do something that's achievable. Do something that's goal oriented, that's achievable, that you can do and see results from within 90 days or within 30 days or 60 days or whatever it might be. If it's a coordination effort, coordination piece, it's moving more elderly. Is it awareness? Is it mobility management training? Is it travel training? Just something along those lines that's achievable, that we can come back and report on and say, hey, we held travel training at a hospital, or we did it at a retirement home, and we're moving X amount of people. I just think that those kind of things are important to do to raise awareness that might not be there.
And because I'm, not in the actual transportation of folks' business, What is travel training exactly?
That's-
I'm sure everybody else knows what that is, but what is it?
It's training that you put on to teach people how to use your system. A lot of people are scared to death.
Citizens.
Yes.
Oh, got it.
A lot of people are
Right,
scared to
right.
death to step on Mountain Metro or on a transit system
Absolutely.
because they're like, I don't know how to do it, I'm scared of it, I don't know how to even get a ticket.
Right,
So that would
absolutely.
be that type of training where you give them a warm fuzzy, if you will, and give them a ride, show them how to do it, engage them.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that, Ted, because I think, well, that's one of our goals certainly at the PPACG is to elevate the exposure to this particular group and elevate what we do. You know, it's not a good thing to get together once a month and talk about everything you haven't done. So I think the bylaws review is a great place to start to establish some realistic goals. I know we actually talked about this yesterday, what the goals of an LCC should be, and networking is a very important thing, meeting, you know, putting a face with a name of the people that you're going to be working with, but also identifying common goals. There's lots of things out there that we can work on. Just getting people from Cripple Creek down into Colorado Springs to a doctor's appointment is a low-hanging fruit. So how we can do that, I think there's some good things out there that we can do without a lot of effort. The place to start is getting a good foundation document and getting all those slots filled with the people who can influence the people with the money. So it's important to get those city and county and municipality slots filled on this particular group.
So, Jolene Hausman, I just wanted to mention, on the Bylaws Committee, it's me, Miley, and Brian, three of the newest faces in this room. So no pressure, Ted,
We're gonna
but
shake some
maybe if you join the committee and we came up to Cripple Creek to meet about the committee, then it becomes a more regional effort as well. And you bring a lot of historical knowledge to the committee that none of the three of us hold.
Well, don't second guess yourselves, you guys have a lot of knowledge, but yeah, I'll be more than happy to.
I would be happy to come to Cripple Creek for that meeting.
Field trip.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind, Miley, if you wouldn't mind doing that, then we just hang out for a minute after this meeting, and we'll figure something out. Thank you.
And this is Melissa sitting in as community person. I'm just curious, Joe, what about the strategic plan goals and four-year plan goals for AAA, and might any of those kind of correlate in here in terms of helping build direction and focus for the group?
That's a great thought. I'd be happy to get a copy of that to you folks. The one that pops out in my mind was the regionalization of the process. We have two separate LCCs that have kind of, over the course of the last year anyway, operated independently, is this one and Up the Pass, and we want to make sure that those two work together. So I know that's on the strategic plans for the PPACG. We are also have sought out to be a convener. So if there are regional conferences, we have space, we have connections. If there are regional conferences, that type of thing, I know the conference on autonomous transportation that was held here, I think everybody was offered the opportunity to be involved with that. We'd like to do more of that type of thing that is really more of brings a benefit to the whole region, not just City of Colorado Springs. So yeah, we will get those copy of the transportation as well as the AAA goals to you from the PPACG.
So, Miley, certainly I think that one of the main goals, as you mentioned, Joe, would be to get more people around this table. And we chatted about this the last time. Do we have an opportunity to have a polycom or some type of call-in if people cannot make a meeting?
Yes. The question came up, do we have the capability to live stream? We do not. But we do have the capability to do a phone call anytime we want.
Okay.
So you can do a call-in, and we could, if somebody was doing a presentation and we needed to put a webinar together, I believe we have the capability to do that too.
Okay. And while I don't really like those personally, because sometimes it's really difficult to participate in when you're on the phone, but that's an option for people who might not be able to make it to a meeting and still feel included and still have their voices heard.
It's way better than not coming at all.
Yeah. Although we like to see people's faces. even if they say things like they said. No, just kidding. Take that out of the minutes. Jessica, take that out of the minutes. No, you know what? This is really, and actually what she said, we're new. Good. You might be careful what you wish for when it comes to redoing the bylaws. No, I'm just kidding, but I think that one of the goals should be to fill these chairs so that we can, and that's easier said than done, really, but let's see what we can do. And Joe, I believe you mentioned the possibility of sending out an email to the commissioners, the councilmen, to really seriously take a consideration of this.
Yeah, just to give you a little history, the last 2, maybe 3 board meetings, PPACG board meetings, I have brought up the fact that we are grossly underrepresented from the municipalities here. If you're a county commissioner, if you're a city councilman, that just gives you more work. What they would love is somebody from their district or their region to step forward and say, hey, I'd like to be on the MCC. Would you be willing to appoint me? And they'll do a little vetting on you, and if you don't have a criminal record, they're going to appoint you. So if you know folks that would be interested in a specific area, by all means, put that forward to one of those folks on that list I sent around. And I'm happy to get you individual names if you don't know who those folks are already. Many of those folks are already on the PPACG board, so they have some background in that area. So if you're going to get somebody appointed to the MCC from an area, it would certainly make sense to utilize one of the folks that's already familiar with the PPACG and how it works.
Oh, Miley, I'd also like to suggest that we invite people to come as guests, because that's how I got involved. Angel Bond said, hey, you should come. There's this, and it seemed like a very dynamic and interesting group to be involved with, and that is how I became involved. And I think that to have some people sitting back there in those chairs with some comments and some information that they have, what's going on in the community, is also a good idea.
The makeup of the group we have right now is great for information sharing, for networking. It's not great for impacting policy. Mm-hmm. We can impact policy at all of your individual organizations. We can't impact policy necessarily in the cities and the counties.
Okay. Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. How about you guys? Anything to share? Oh, please put on your little thing.
Dave, Special Families. We're in the learning process as to how everyone buys vehicles, how they do a lot of things. We've bought quite a few vehicles from Mountain Transit that have been really good for us. Just finding ways to make our operation work has been helpful here to see what you guys are doing. So.
Jolene? Okay, so Jolene with Fountain Valley. Since there are so many new faces in all our organizations right now, our leadership positions, CDOT through Tom will be hosting a Transit 101 class on April 3rd and on April 10th from 9 to 3 in Denver. It's either or. He's hosted some. So if you're interested in attending the training, just reach out to Tom
And is that
Mauser.
like what he's talking about, a travel training? What is that, Transit 101?
Well, I haven't been to it yet,
I can
so
speak
we'll
to
let
that.
Ted answer.
Go ahead, if you can, go ahead.
Marky with Community Intersections. Dick and I actually went last month to that training. It is very informative. We learned a lot. I do suggest from the feedback that was given from the class that we took, like I say, Dick and I went in person. The feedback from people doing the call-in and the live feed, hated it. It didn't work well. And they missed a lot of stuff that he was doing on the board. And so if you have a chance, go. It's very informative. Tom is very detailed in his presentation and outlining everything that they do. Leave super early
God.
to get there in the morning. So Dick and I we left at about 7:15, and we were about an hour late.
By what time? What
So-
time was it supposed to start?
8.
8, no,
Or
it was at
9.
8? No, 9. It was supposed to start at 9. We got there about 9:30, 9:45, so because of traffic.
Perhaps this is exactly what Brian is talking about with the My Way thing.
Yeah, so I strongly encourage people to go if you haven't gone.
Okay, but so what is it, 101?
It talks about the history of CDOT, how we get funding. It talks about FTA. It talks about different Senate bills, funds that are available, how each little thing gets their funding, different projects that are going on. Talks about the mobility pieces, like paratransit piece of stuff.
Well, is this something that they would ever consider coming here and doing, and getting a big group?
It's an 8-hour. Oh, yeah.
Tom Mauser's been with CDOT. He was a director up there for a number of years for the folks that have been here for a while. And then he retired, and they brought him back in as a consultant because they gave him like the Lamp of Knowledge kind of award. So he's been there for a long, long time. So his knowledge is deep rooted. But it covers excuse me, just a host of different things. Where the town hall down here that they're going to host in Pueblo, that would be more like a current 5311 funding formulas, things like that, where the piece that Tom's teaching covers procurement, acronyms, just basics. It's the basics of CDOT.
Oh, that's exciting.
It's an awesome
I know
course
it
to
is. I
go.
know I'm kidding, but
You'll be tired when you leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
You will learn more about transportation, CDOT, the FTA, more than what you thought you really wanted to know. It's that detailed.
Yeah.
So
I
it's very good.
can't wait.
I'm sure. I'm sure that that's true, but really valuable information, too.
Definitely take a thermos of coffee, because they don't provide anything.
Oh, yeah, that is so CDOT.
That or stop at the coffee truck before you go in.
No refreshments like Jessica and Joe were up all night baking over here, so please eat.
He's not here, but I do have to, we have to thank Craig Pruitt again, because he thought it was at 8 and got there super early, so he ran down to the grocery store and picked up like a whole bunch of snacks and stuff. So, but they don't provide anything,
They
no
have
water,
no
coffee,
funding,
nothing. So
nothing. Right. We'll make sure Jessica puts that in the minutes so people go prepared. All right. Thank you. Dick, anything to add? Push a little button.
No, I just think we're a good push for the call center. We're working pretty good for us. We got a little bumps to go over, but nothing insurmountable. And I think it's really going to be, and once we get the bumps filled out and everybody gets into the call center, really help out the community and the coordination, everything like that. So I would encourage everybody to get involved in the call center, and then it would really help out our community overall.
I just wanted to add. Oh, thank you, Brian Champion. David, if you would like to be matched with some of our, what I would say, experts on vehicle procurement and transit IT at Metro Mobility or Metro Transit, I'd be happy to do that. A couple months ago, we hosted Teller Senior Coalition staff, and I set up meetings with our IT transit staff, and they talked about radios and radio systems, cameras and surveillance systems and software, and they also talked about the electronic head signs on buses and how to program them, some do's and don'ts that we've learned along the way. And then they also wanted to know about vehicle procurement, and so I matched them with our procurement and our fleet coordinator. And they spent about 2 hours talking about how to purchase off of CDOT, how to equip a bus or not equip a bus, some do's and don'ts. But I'd be happy if that would be something beneficial for you to set that up.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay, so maybe after the meeting, I'll give you my contact information, and I could try to, you can send me some topics that you'd like to discuss, and I'll try to match you up with folks in-house.
Yeah, that would be great. We've, purchased some of the vehicles through the city auction
Yes.
that you guys have had. And then we belong to the CDOT program where we buy vehicles with their buying power,
Yes.
which is very nice.
Okay.
But, yeah, I'd like to have more information.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
I got just a few things. One just occurred to me right now. If you don't have a name tag here, write that down on that attendance list, and we'll have Jessica make them for you. Wanted to note that the 4-year plan for the Area Agency on Aging, so we have to do a strategic plan every 4 years and submit it to the state, which in turn uses some of those components to compile their plan that goes to Health and Human Services for funding. Every 4 years. We completed that. It was approved. It was sent in. If anybody would like to see that, it should be on the website. If it's not there already, it will probably be there by the end of this week. Also, at the last PPHCG board meeting, the carryover funding was approved, which was fairly substantial. So I think Jolene alluded to some of the funding that we're doing. It also included transportation funding to a number of the providers to increase the available funds. We are cash rich this year is the best way to put it. It probably won't happen again for a while, but it just happens this year that we had a lot of carryover from last year, plus we were allocated a little bit more in state funding. So we've been able to supplement some of the shortages that have come up in other areas. That will carry us through June 30th. We will issue sometime in the next 2 weeks, probably maybe 2.5 weeks. We'll be issuing our RFP for 2020 funding, which is just really scary because we just finished the last allocation about a week and a half ago. So we will have that out to everybody. If you're not on that batch email distribution or you're not sure whether you are, please get a hold of me and we'll make sure you get onto that batch. It's a fairly simple process. All of our RFPs are done online through a piece of software called Oasis. And there's a provider training that takes place here prior to those RFPs going in. So if you don't know how to do one, and it's not extremely complicated, it's a fairly easy piece of software. But if you want to make a proposal to receive some of that Older American Act funding, there is I believe it's a required training that goes on for that, and that will come out. You'll get that at the same time as the RFP notification. And if you want to know when it is ahead of time so you can put it in your calendar, Lisa is right behind that closed door right there, and she can tell you before you get out of here. I do not remember what the training date is. And we may not have even established it yet, actually. Any questions for me about any of that? Super.
Do we have any suggestions for action items? I think we'll probably have a lot, but for action items for the next meeting, besides reviewing the bylaws, the update, and the suggestions? Okay, then that sounds good. So with that, if anyone doesn't have any other comments, then I'm just going to say we're adjourned because maybe we don't have enough for a quorum.
You have that authority.
Hey, guess what? I have that authority. I even have a copy of Robert's Rules of Order in here. I haven't read them yet, but I will. So thank you. We're adjourned for now, and we'll see you next month. Thank you. And so for those of us who are setting a meeting, just hang on a second.